Michelle Brown.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Let's be clear. Labour implied proposals regarding Brexit, including this continuity bill, is an attempt to remain in the EU in all but name, by those who campaign to stay in the EU and are not willing to accept the result and voice of the majority of Welsh voters. But the Remain side seem to forget their line of attack at times. In one breath, they will say that leaving the single market is unjustified, as the lack of a detailed referendum question means that no one knows what the public's opinion is. Yet in the next breath, they claim they know that people didn't vote for more controls on immigration. Labour and the other Remainers are also very fond of the argument that our nursing, social care, veterinary and other sectors are dependent on migrant labour. But that reliance is homegrown, caused by successive governments in the UK and Wales failing miserably to fund the training for our own people to do this work. The First Minister, in his debate with Nigel Farage, made it clear a number of times that a vote to leave the EU would mean leaving the single market. Can the First Minister and other Remainers in this place, not for 1 second, just accept that perhaps people did hear what he had to say about leaving the single market, but simply disagreed with him? No. Mr Jones used to think, and still thinks, that many of the decisions about Wales would be better made by a European civil servant than his own Welsh Labour government. Whilst I agree with him that important decisions should not be left to Labour, I do not think they should be left to the EU either. Labour have messed up everything that has been devolved to this place so far, whether it's education, the NHS or housing. But this is a matter of democratic accountability and the ability to sack those who make bad decisions. If the out-of-touch, complacent decision-maker, who has no understanding of what life is like for the average person in Wales, consistently makes mistakes, people can stop voting Labour and let someone else have a go. But only on matters devolved to here, or in general elections for issues that are still UK competencies. The proposal of a continuity bill is yet another example of Labour deciding that they know best and ignoring the will of the Welsh people. The people want to stay part of the UK, having some decisions made at a UK-wide level, but to leave the EU. Labour implied want us to remain in the EU, and the continuity bill is their way of dealing with the offence they felt when it was clear that the electorate didn't agree with them. Labour are ignoring the wishes of the voters simply because the voters ignored the wishes of Labour. Carwyn Jones and the other Remainers in this place cannot in one breath say that the general election was not about Brexit, as he did before polling day, and then use the result to say the vote had rejected true Brexit afterwards. However hard the other parties try to bend the election results to fit their own ideology, you cannot deny that the majority of Welsh people agree with UKIP when the discussion is about Brexit. The First Minister mentioned it would mean leaving the single market, and the propaganda booklet sent out by the Tory government on behalf of the Remain camp made a reference to leaving the single market on a majority of its pages in its scaremongering. If you say we cannot know exactly what people were voting for because the question lacked details, then we must default to the simplest assumption that the vote to leave was exactly that, a vote to leave entirely. If a voter had wanted to retain any part of EU membership, be that freedom of movement or membership of the single market or anything else, they would have voted to remain. But they didn't. The people wanted out, with all the consequences that entails. The continuity bill, a step towards retaining membership of the single market, in my opinion, including all of its rules and submission to the European courts. We will see. We'll see. We'll see. The people didn't vote for the EU to continue making our laws through the back door via a continuity bill. The Welsh Labour government say they stand for working people, but the decimation of all that has been devolved to it is a betrayal that shows the only thing Labour-implied politicians actually stand for is election. Thank you.